Okay, so the question is, I'm worried that no amount of understanding of circle of fifths or modes or scales or music theory will ever equate to creating music. Do you think there are great guitar players that know all of this technical stuff but still can't play melodies or leads that flow musically? Did Hendrix and the other greats obsess over which scale to play over which chords and so on? And if some of our heroes didn't study music, theory and the fretboard 24 hours a day, how did they get so damn good? These are the things that keep me awake at night. Rant over LOL. And here's my response. My response is, all of the best musicians I know all know music theory. It's not 100% necessary to be musical, but it's just another tool in the musical tool belt that can allow somebody to have mastery and an effective control over music. I've been playing music for 28 years now. My mom's a classically trained pianist. My dad was a 70s rocker hippie, and my dad never learnt music theory, and it limited him big time, partly because when he got into big studios, he couldn't communicate effectively with the other musicians because he couldn't speak the language. And that's why when they had me, my mom and dad had me, my dad highly encouraged me to learn music theory. My brother is a multi-instrumentalist too, and he writes his own songs and has a career in music. And all in all, our musical friends who have careers in music all know music theory, or if they don't, they regret not knowing music theory. Because back in the day, they would think like most people, and they're younger and they'd poo-poo it. But ultimately, it's important, period. But yeah, there's so many people who, when they're younger, when people who kind of first start, they kind of go, oh, I don't know, I don't need to know music theory. But then the further you get into music, you start going, man, I should have learned music theory. All in all, it's important, period. Most of the musicians I know who got stifled don't actually know music theory. And they get stuck in a box because they don't know theory, which would give them a larger perspective and different things they could try out, like try this, try that. Here's a cool little interesting little thing that you can do. So when you have that, you can actually evolve out of it because, other people have tried all sorts of things. That's what music theory is. It's just an accumulation of people trying things out in music and going, oh, that's interesting. And then giving it a name and saying, this is what that interesting thing was. And then we're lucky because we don't have to spend all that time trying to figure all that out. And we can just go into the book and say, oh, look, there's an interesting thing. And we try it out and we put it into our playing. And now we're a better musician for it. Now we've enhanced and evolved our musicianship because now we can not only give that thing a name and be able to have conversations about it more effectively, but you can have realizations that people had about these things, which are written about those, like how certain chords resolve and why they resolve in that way. Because like the seventh note of the 5 chord goes down to the third of the 1 chord, for instance. And that's just one of like so many things that you can learn in music theory. Music theory is like a giant warehouse. You can go and you go, oh, look, there's an interesting tool. And you might not even know what that tool does, right? And then you go over and you check it out and you see what the tool does and you go, oh, look, this would actually make my work so much easier. But people who don't have the tool, they can still get the job done, but maybe it's way harder and more confusing for them. And when they're trying to tell people about the problem that they're dealing with the thing that they're trying to create, they don't really have the language to tell them about it, to have those conversations and to reach a deeper understanding about it. But yeah, what I've noticed is a lot of people who don't know music theory get stuck in a box of things they can do. And the people I know who do know music theory have gone on to have like music careers and are like some of the best musicians I know. And I'm not just some random dude. Like basically my entire family is musical and like so many of our friends are musical. And my dad used to have a career in music. My mom still has a career in music. My brother has a career in music. I have a career in music. Our friends around us have careers in music, whether it be bands or teaching or just solo careers. But yeah, ultimately it's up to you, man. All that being said, some people are just too technical and they do obsess over theory and never play. So you don't want to do that either. The trick is to take the theoretic concepts, just like I said with the warehouse, and then you play with them. You mess around with that one theoretic concept and you try to see how it applies and why it's useful. And you try to work it into your playing and see how you can actually apply it and see why it matters and what you can actually get from it. Perhaps part of the problem is you just don't have a teacher who can show you why to learn something, and it's just this theoretical concept. It's like, well, how do I put that into my playing? Why is this useful? And then it just remains as this technical concept in your head where it's like, well, who cares? Why would I, you haven't taken it from here and put it into your actual playing to see why it's useful. So maybe you need a teacher to help you with that. All in all, I would say it's a two-winged bird between chaos and order, right? The order being the theory and sight reading and stuff. The chaos being the intuitive improvisation, just jamming and all that. Your ear, your feel, that would be chaos. I would say on the chaos side. And on the order side is here's the names of it, here's the theory of it, and here's why it works. Here's the sight reading, the specific notes, and yada yada. But yeah, it's a two-winged bird. So if you can get both wings to be strong, you're going to fly a lot higher than you would otherwise. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. And keep learning theory. Like, too many people, just like I said, they poo-poo it. And then later on they go, man, I wish I knew theory. Anyways, I hope that helped.